Ever had one of those moments where, like, everything just stops?
You
Something goes wrong, and it feels like the whole world is holding its breath.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That sinking feeling. We're going to dig into a story today about a moment exactly like that.
So it's a personal account from a computer science teacher, a pasted text, right? But it's so much more than just an anecdote. It's got these unexpected twists and turns, and it really makes you think about how we deal with mistakes.
Exactly. Not just our own mistakes, but other people's too. And especially how we approach them as leaders. I think that's what we'll find really fascinating in this deep dive. How to take these, well, kind of messy moments and turn them into something that helps us grow, both personally and in our relationships.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in a computer science class, and the teacher has given the students this super challenging programming problem.
Yeah, really tough.
And what I found interesting is that the teacher was really encouraging different approaches, letting the students experiment and find their own solutions.
Right, which is awesome for learning, but
Hmm,
it can also lead to some interesting situations.
definitely. And in this case, the teacher actually spent like a whole week working on the solution themselves.
Wow, that's some serious
A
dedication.
lot of time and effort, right. So they have it saved on one of those old school diskettes, those square floppy things.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
And the teacher asks a student, Nalini, to make a copy. Emphasis on only copy.
Oh, boy. You can already see where this is going.
Right. You just know something's about to happen.
Huh.
So Nalini's up there talking to the teacher, and the classroom is buzzing, like usual. And then she accidentally formats the diskette.
Oh, no.
Gone. Everything. And the story describes this moment of stunned silence. All eyes turn to the teacher. Nalini's in tears, and you can just feel the weight of that lost week of work.
I can imagine. What would you do in that moment? Like, honestly, if you're the teacher, what's going through your head?
I mean, it's got to be a mix of emotions, frustration for sure, maybe even anger, all that effort just gone like that.
Yeah, it's natural to feel those things. But here's the amazing part. The teacher is obviously upset for a moment, totally understandable. But then they take a breath and smile.
Yeah, and that smile changes everything. In the story, it's described as this almost calming presence, like the tension in the room just melts away.
Powerful stuff. And then the teacher says something really profound to Nalini. It's this beautiful quote. If someone says he has never ever committed a mistake, then he must be a robot, not a human being. Even our gods and our great rishis committed mistakes.
It's so humanizing. It immediately shifts the focus from blame to shared experience. We all make mistakes, right?
Mm.
It's part of being human.
Absolutely. And one of the students actually asks how the teacher could be so calm after losing a whole week's worth of work.
The question we're all thinking, right?
Totally. And the teacher's answer is fascinating. They say that they actually made a similar huge mistake when they were younger. So there's this immediate connection, this vulnerability that really draws you in.
Yeah, it takes the sting out of the current situation, and it sets up this really interesting story within a story.
So this is where we get to hear about the teacher's own big mistake. And it involved this massive piece of technology.
Right, not just any old floppy disk. This is a 15-kilogram Pandan disk drive.
15 kilograms. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's like trying to carry a small bowling ball. Gives you an idea of how clunky technology used to be.
Right. Totally different world.
And this is where a comment about, well, women in the workplace comes in. It's actually a pretty casual remark from the teacher's boss, implying that only men could handle carrying this heavy disk drive.
Oh, wow.
And that really sparks something in the teacher. It's like this drive to prove him wrong, to challenge those kind of assumptions.
Yeah, I can see that. That need to be seen as capable, as equal.
And the story says that the teacher makes a point of hiding how much effort it takes to carry this thing. Try and make it look effortless.
That determination to overcome the challenge, even if it's difficult.
And then she reaches the boss's room, probably feeling a little bit triumphant, and lifts her hand to put the disk drive down, maybe a little too enthusiastically,
Yeah.
and she drops it.
Oh, no.
The story describes the sound echoing through the office. It's one of those moments where you just cringe, You just imagine that stunned silence.
So what happens when you drop something like that back then? It's not like today where everything's backed up in the cloud, right?
No, this was a big deal. This disk drive held everything, the company's financial records, employee information, basically their entire database.
Wow. So in that one clumsy moment, a whole company's data is potentially wiped out.
It's a huge mistake with real consequences, not just for the teacher, but for everyone in the company.
What does the teacher do?
Well, she's obviously in shock, numb. And the story talks about this dawning realization of just how big this mistake is, the potential impact on the company, on people's jobs. It's a lot to take in.
Definitely a high-stakes situation, so how does she handle it?
She immediately writes a resignation letter.
Wow, so she takes full responsibility.
Yeah, she owns it completely, no excuses. And she goes to her boss, head bowed, ready to face the consequences. You can just picture that scene, right?
Totally. You'd expect the boss to be furious.
Okay.
But he does something totally unexpected. He tears up the resignation letter.
I know, right? And his reasoning is just incredible. He says, everybody commits mistakes. I took a backup of the information on the disk before you lifted it. The data is still intact in the storeroom. You don't have to worry. Repentance itself is a punishment, and you have repented enough. You should not be so sensitive. Sensitive people suffer a lot in life. Go and do your work.
Wow, I don't even know what to say. That's some serious leadership right there.
I know. He had a backup, which is a great lesson in itself. But it's more than that. It's the understanding, the forgiveness, the focus on solutions.
And that comment about sensitivity, I mean, maybe not something everyone would say, but it does make you think.
Yeah, it's food for thought. Anyway, the teacher is speechless, just blown away by this unexpected act of grace.
So we have these two big mistakes, years apart. And what connects them is how the people involved react, right? And the teacher brings it all together by addressing Nalini. And here's the thing. They admit that they also made a mistake. They forgot to back up the program they spent all week working on.
It's such a powerful moment. It shows that even teachers, even leaders, make mistakes. No one's perfect.
Right. It humanizes the teacher even more. So what's the takeaway?
The teacher explicitly says it. It's about kindness, forgiveness, especially if you're in a leadership position. Building a culture of support, not fear.
Yeah, instead of being afraid to make a mistake, you create a space where people can learn and grow.
Exactly. The teacher emphasizes that this approach creates stronger relationships, better teams. And I think we've all experienced the difference between those kinds of supportive environments and those that are based on fear and blame.
Right. And we spend so much time at work. If it's going to be a huge part of our lives, it might as well be a positive experience.
And in the story, the students applaud. It's like this beautiful moment of shared understanding and appreciation. It's pretty moving, actually.
So for you, the learner, this deep dive is all about those key takeaways, right? Mistakes, they're going to happen. We're human. What really matters is how we react, how we treat ourselves when we mess up, and how we treat others when they do.
Forgiveness is huge on both sides. And if you're leading a team, empathy and understanding are essential. That's what creates a truly successful and positive environment.
So here's something to think about. How can we all contribute to creating those kinds of environments where mistakes aren't seen as failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow together?
It's a big question, and it applies to so many areas of our lives. Work, family, friendships, everything. Shifting our perspective from blame to understanding, from punishment to progress. What if we could all do that a little bit better?
It would change things, that's for sure. It's a challenge worth striving for.
Thanks for diving into this with us today. Till next time.